so really quickly, we're going to run through defining your target for your campaign, your phone campaign, whether it's your inside sales team, your lead generation team, your appointment setting team. Defining your compelling reason for outreach, connecting with decision makers, and some tips and tricks, getting through gatekeepers, scripting or your call guide design, objection handling, follow-up, and selecting a winning team. So really, 2 parts here. It's about people and it's about process. If you have those things, you're going to set yourself up for a winning campaign. So obviously, traditionally, when we pull lists, prospect lists, folks that haven't interacted with us before, we look at traditional items like SIC, job titles, but we want to dig down a little bit further because things are changing. Roles are getting more sophisticated. Now you have a VP of customer excellence and a VP of, French fries. I mean, you have all these different titles, right? It's really true. You have all these different titles. So traditionally, we could go through and say we want to call the VP of sales at every company, but now not so true anymore. So we really have to look at job responsibilities in an average day in the life of our prospects. Think about workflow, and this is a really great place to grab your product development team and your technology team. A little bit about what Greg touched on, but get the players in the room and talk about their workflow. When you create the product, you talk about workflow. So when you target your prospect list, we want to know what is your product doing to help them throughout their day. And model from current customers. This is something that a lot of folks forget about, but especially with an existing product that you're looking to prospect and capture additional sales revenue from new customers, model from your current customers. When you query that database, you're going to find out really interesting things that maybe you've overlooked as far as the folks that are using you, the verticals that have adopted your products. And there's a lot of interesting insights when we work with our clients to model lists that come from looking at their current database. And it's something, again, we make assumptions. Oh, well, we created this product for this person. But when we look at who's actually utilizing the product, there are very interesting findings. So I do recommend before you initiate a campaign, especially for an existing product launch, a non-new product launch, model from your current customers.
So, Christina, could you just be a little more specific about that? I'm thinking of, I was just talking with Robin, their customers are emergency physicians. That tends to be so they're all emergency physician, job title, right?
Sure.
But, and in my business, it was public relations, corporate communications people. So certainly within that job title, there's room for modeling from current customers, but quite honestly, I don't know what I would have done or what they should do with that last bullet. Could you be more specific? That how would I model from my current customers? What can I pull out of my database, and what do you have in mind when you say that?
Sure. So we are looking at things like titles and verticals and job responsibilities. But I think what I'm hitting on there is that sometimes we make these assumptions that this is the persona that's using our product, but when we really dig into the data that we already have and we already own, we find that there's a few other titles and a few other segments and a few other people that have used our product that we didn't include in our original queries when we're looking for prospect lists. And the other thing is, so that's for an existing product. But if you have a new product launch, what I would recommend doing is going to some of your best customers, right? We all know who our best customers are. We can identify them in our databases pretty easily. Go to your best customers prior to that product launch and ask them how, if you were to use this tool, give them a demo, let them see it, let them feel it, give them a free trial, and after 30 days, come back to them and say, how would you integrate this product, or how did you integrate this product into your workflow? Do you know other people in your organizations with different titles that might use this product? And that's especially helpful at a new product launch.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Okay, so find your compelling reason for outreach. So obviously, when we go through the process of creating a new product with our product development team, with our technology team, with our marketers, with our editorial staff, when we all get together, we create a product because we found a challenge or a need in the marketplace, right? So that's pretty well defined up front. But how does your company's product or service solve your customer's challenge? There could be a financial benefit, saves time, ease of use. But those things need to be defined up front. And I know these things seem pretty basic, but they're often skipped over and overlooked a lot of times when we're starting a campaign. Once you define those 2 items, get the buy-in of your team. There's nothing worse than having a sales team, inside sales team, a telemarketing team, an appointment setting team that isn't convicted about the strength of your products. When you should start worrying is when you hear things like, oh, the product's no good, nobody wants this, I've called 10 people. it's your job as marketers to pull people towards your product, right? We're putting content out there, we're putting beautiful editorial out there, and we're pulling as marketers. We're saying, come to us. And as salespeople, our job is to push them through the finish line, saying, I know you didn't know about my product today, but I'm calling you, you're gonna know about it, you need it, I can help you, and I'm pushing you through the finish line. And that's our job. So you have to get the buy-in of your team. They need to be enthusiastic, they need to be excited. If you start hearing that negative language, that it's the price is too much, nobody's gonna pay this for that, nobody needs this product, you probably have the wrong team. Now as a business, if you look at a high-level overview, and your product development team saying that, your technology team saying that, the editorial staff saying, the marketers, okay, may have another problem. But we need the buy-in of our sales team if we're gonna sell products, so they need to be enthusiastic about what we're selling. Okay, so this is just kind of a flow chart. Not every call is going to go this way, but I just wanted to kind of show, we forget, from our marketers to our sales team, we sometimes don't apply the same rules. There's a lot that goes on when we're handling sales calls that are traditional marketing campaigns, information that we're gathering, that we forget about during the sales process. So, when we make an outbound call, we might get to the decision maker, and we're going to do one of a couple things, right? We're going to turn them into appointment, a qualified lead, or a sale. They might be looking for information, we're going to send them out more information, or they're currently not interested. But are we taking that data that we're garnering from our sales calls and our inside sales teams, and are we putting them into a lead nurture strategy when they say, not today, no thanks? We're doing that when they say no thanks over a marketing automation email, right? We say, okay, this person didn't click through here, they didn't take advantage of this offer, let's put them on the separate track. But are we taking that data from our inside sales team and all those calls that we're making and doing the same thing? And then the people who took more information from us, are they going back into a drip marketing campaign and a lead nurture strategy? Sales touches and marketing touches should be treated very similar, but for some reason, we've siloed these two worlds off, and we don't treat those touches with the same value, and we need to. So connecting with decision makers. This is just going through a little bit of the gatekeeper skills, and these are, again, pretty simple things, but they're things that get overlooked a lot, and they're best practices. So when we're getting on the phone, obviously zeroing out of automated attendance. Using your first and last name. This is a really basic one. Giving information, don't present your solution to the gatekeeper. So I hear a lot of people, they make a sales call, I'll listen into monitoring calls. And they say, hi, this is Christina Karabetsos calling with QCSS, and I'm calling to offer John, is he in today? Well, now we just pitched the wrong contact. We've given to somebody who has no authority to make a buying decision the ability to tell us no. Right? And their job is to keep John protected because he's doing a million other things besides taking your sales call. But guess what? As a salesperson, my job is to be convicted about my product or service or solution. I'm calling because I have something valuable to offer. John needs this. It's going to save him money. It's going to make his workflow easier. It's going to make him more profitable. Whatever those reasons are, and your salespeople need to be convicted of that. And pitching the gatekeeper diminishes the value that we have to bring to that prospect. Now, if the gatekeeper asks you a question, is this a sales call? What is this call in regards to? What company are you calling? We want to be honest and straightforward. Because the moment that you ruin that rapport, you break that trust, good luck selling to John, right? So there's a balance there. If you don't connect with the decision maker, get a touch point via email. We sometimes waste, as salespeople, we waste that call, which is a very expensive call to make. A single call from your sales team, think about how much you're paying them, think about your overhead, the training you've invested in them, and we don't get an additional touch out there and vary our contact strategy. So if I don't connect with John, if my list, typically when I'm calling on a list, I have email, we've purchased a list with emails, right? And I act like I know him and I'm familiar. And I say, you know what, Nancy, before I give John a call back, I'm gonna go ahead and send him an email. Is this the best email for him? Is he still john@xyzcompany.com? Yes, he is? Okay, great, I'll follow up with him tomorrow, thanks so much. And what did I do there? I assumed the allowance to send the email. I now confirmed the data point. I have my formula ready. I might adjust it a little bit. And I let Nancy know before I hung up that call that she should be expecting my call tomorrow. So when I call back, hey Nancy, thanks so much for taking my call. I know we connected yesterday. I just want to see if John got my email. Now I have a warmer touch on the second time in, right? So those are just little things that we do as salespeople that make all the difference. Because if I can get a few more people on the phone per hour to buy from me, guess what? It'll pay in dividends in the long run. Okay, so again, that's just kind of recapping that last screen there. But every conversation won't go this way, but you want to give information as it's asked to a gatekeeper. So call in John Smith, please. Who's calling? This is Christina Karabetsos. Is John available? Who are you calling with? QCSS. Is John available? What's this in regards to? I want to touch base with him about X, Y, Z. Is he in? And notice what we did there. Not every call is going to go this way, but every single time that I answered a gatekeeper question, what did I do? I came back and I asked that for John, because as salespeople, we need to ask for what we came for. I don't know how many times I've gone in and listened to calls from inside sales teams, and they don't ask for what they came for. We have this fear of asking because we're going to get rejected. Well, guess what? I know if I make 50 calls, 49 people are going to reject me. I need one person to say yes. I don't care about the rest of those 49. I care about the one guy that needed what I had. That's it. So the fear is ours, and we need to remove that. Ask for what we came for. Be assertive. Be honest, straightforward, all those things as well. So one thing that we've learned over time is marketing copy from your editorial team doesn't make for a great sales and I love all my editorial and marketing friends. And I can't tell you how many times I get copy and they're like, this is the best copy in the world. We spent 2 weeks on this. Our product development team looked at it. Our marketers looked at it. It's into our marketing automation systems. It's in our lovely PDF collateral that our salespeople set up. That should stay just where it's at. It's marketing collateral. As a salesperson, we can take some of that and glean a couple sentences and probably shorten it up. Because guess what? If I'm getting a piece of email marketing from you, right? I can sit and I can flag it and I can read it at my own time, right? So if it's 2 pages long and I'm interested in it, I'm going to flag it and I'm going to go back and read it later. But if you took that same editorial copy and you tried to read those 2, 3, 5 paragraphs at somebody over the phone, what do you think is going to happen? But a lot of times we see our marketers who are responsible for setting up the telemarketing campaigns, and what's beautiful in written language doesn't work and doesn't translate over the phone. So we need to work together with our salespeople, and I recommend, guess what? If there's marketers responsible for the sales campaigns that are happening, or the telemarketing or lead gen campaigns, get your marketer on the phone for 1 day. Get them on the phone, an hour, 30 minutes of their time, because there's going to be valuable insights that they can't relate to the sales team. So when you're playing this game of whose fault is it, right? We generated the leads weren't good enough, the message wasn't right, whatever, the list was bad. You have to get together and align. And a lot of times, our marketing friends, and I say this very kindly, our marketing friends haven't been on the phones in that situation where they have that 2-way feedback. They're pushing a 1-way message out, and they're not getting that feedback back in. And it does wonders. When marketers get on the phone right now, it's a little nerve-wracking. You get the butterflies in your stomach. Every time I launch a new campaign, I still get the same thing, and I've grown up in it. But it's okay, because you learn so much from doing that. Because as marketers, again, we're not used to getting that 2-way feedback, and you'll learn a lot about your business doing that. So we want to define the goal of the call, obviously, at the front. So is it introductory? Are you trying to set an appointment or a demo? Is it a transactional sale, 1 call close? And keep your pitch to less than 30 seconds. Again, not a lot of people have time. Think about workflow. You're making a cold call, somebody's at their desk, they're in the middle, they're hairy, they're in the middle of a bunch of meetings, they have deadlines looming. You have to be respectful of their time. And ask for the appointment or sale on every contact. I can't emphasize how important this is. If you get a live contact on the phone, ask for what you came for. Be assertive. You deserve it. You created a great product. You've invested in training into your salespeople. You've invested in the marketing collateral. Ask for what you came for. You have a great product, and guess what? That prospect will benefit from using what you've created. And if you're not convicted, again, we have a different problem. But that's the conviction, that you're going to ask for what you came for, because you know that every person that buys from you is going to have an easier time doing their job every day.
This is a great slide, and your point about both the editorial and marketing people is really well taken. One of the things that I've found in working with editors and marketers is, I'll ask a group of editors or a group of marketers or both, and I'll say, have you ever sold anything in your life? I mean, have you ever had the opportunity to sell something, to look somebody in the eye and actually sell something? And I can tell you that 95% of those people never have looked somebody in the eye. And so one of the exercises I do with them is to do an elevator pitch. So you get on the elevator with somebody at the 15th floor, you're at a conference, you introduce yourselves to each other. What do you say to them between the 13th floor and the ground floor to just engage them with a sales proposition? And it's eye-opening for these people, because you can't talk about the features anymore. Mm-hmm. You have to really talk about, I'm curious as to what how you ask for the sale. But anyway, just a great point.
Yeah, and to your point there, with our marketing, we always have a call to action at the end of our marketing. We're saying, download the white paper, sign up for this newsletter. We're always asking for something at the end. But marketers, for some reason, they think that's a little more sexy, it's a little more glamorous. I outline the reasons, and them at their own time, on their own timelines, when they felt like it, can decide to click or not, and I wasn't invasive, and I wasn't in their face about it. But guess what? It's a little bit more uncomfortable to come up and say, you know what, Miles, does this sound like something that would be benefit to you?
Right.
Can I go ahead and sign you up? You know what I mean? It's a little bit more nerve-wracking because it's a personal rejection, whereas marketers, one-to-many marketing, right?
Right.
We don't have to face the rejection to our own faces. So it's something that we kind of have to swallow and get over it and just ask for the sale. So again, just to recap that last slide, so it's, you're going through introduction, Christina Karabetsos, call QCSS, presentation, compelling reason for my call, and then offer close, asking for the appointment. And after you ask, guys, be silent. As people, we want to fill the room with noise afterwards. I asked Miles for the sale, and then, because Miles, I really think you're gonna really benefit from this, and I really think that you need it, and so I don't know, what do you think? Do you think you need a boss's approval? We want to keep talking. We want to keep talking because it's awkward now, right? We asked for something, but we want to make sure we weren't too forceful. We want to be gentle, right? And we do want to be gentle, but we want to be confident. Be silent. Ask for the order. Ask for the appointment. Ask for the demonstration if you're selling a SaaS product. And be silent and wait to see what their next words are, because their next words will help define the direction of your call. So don't feel silent because you're uncomfortable. Salespeople, if you're not a little uncomfortable every day when you wake up, when you start your prospecting at 8 o'clock and you're making that first call, if you're not a little uncomfortable, something's wrong. We're not doing it right. It should be a little uncomfortable. It should be a little bit of, I don't want to say fear, but there should be a little discomfort. And let them talk at that point. Some people are just going to say, no, I have no need, and the call might end there. That's okay. Some people might give you a specific reason, and that's your true opportunity. Now you have the right contact, and they've told you, I'm not interested for XYZ reason, and their opportunity lies. But if we fill that silence after we ask for the order, we've just wasted our time with that contact, and we haven't allowed ourselves to move the sales process forward. So I implore you, please don't fill the silence because it feels awkward. So objection handling, right? So now we've gotten to that awkward silence. We've asked for the order. Most of the times we ask for the order, and we know this already, you're going to be met with a hesitation or simply a no. Be prepared for this. And that's where we're going to spend the most of the time when we're setting up our campaigns as marketers and as inside sales folks. When we're setting up our campaigns, the majority of our time in creating collateral and creating training and role playing is going to be spent on all the no reasons. The yeses, we're ready for it. Yeah, can I take your order? Which card are you using today, right? Yeah. But if the process doesn't give you a reason why, simply ask. You might feel comfortable again, but guess what? You're not going to move through the process if you don't know why they're telling you no. And some people just won't give you a reason. It'll be a no click. Big deal. Move on to the next one. But if they give you a reason, their opportunity lies. So we need to be prepared for that. So this is where I say you spend your time creating your campaigns. And this is where you get the guy or the gal that decided, hey, we should make this product, right? And I know a lot of companies have a certain number of new products they launch every single year, right? So you get the product development team in the room, you get your marketers in the room, you get your editorial folks in the room, you get your salespeople in the room, and maybe a few of your best customers you talk to too. And you say, why won't people, when we launch this product, or when we launch this product, why don't people or won't people use my product or service? And create a comprehensive list. Be brutally honest with yourself. Create a very comprehensive list. And as much as we said, build up that confidence, in this portion of the programming, we want to make sure we're brutally honest. So time, is there going to be budgets or pricing concern? Are there competitor product or service out there that they're using and they're happy with? Feel that they have no need. Maybe they tried something similar in the past and didn't find it useful, right? We deal with that all the time. So we have to take those reasons, be honest with ourselves, get all the teams in the room, say, why do people not use our product or service? We know it's great, we know it's wonderful, we know it's going to save them time, money, effort, energy, improve their workflow, but they won't use it. Why? Create that list and target concise messaging for each of those reasons. And once that's done, your inside sales team, your telesales team, your telemarketers need to commit those responses to memory. There is nothing worse than a disingenuous, scripted auto response. There's nothing worse. Well, I know that the price is really concerned, and we hear that a lot, but I think you're going to get a lot of value, and that's terrible. But if we script it, we're convicted. You know what, for $9.95, John, what you're gonna do is you're gonna improve efficiency. Most of our customers have seen a 20% decrease in spend on XYZ because they were able to be more compliant faster and get the answers that they need at their fingertips. Whatever that information is that I'll apply here. But commit those responses to memory, because a disingenuine response is worse than just hanging up the phone at that point. We wanna be genuine, we wanna know and own and be convicted in our information. We make good products, so let's be convicted about it. Okay, so discretion and situational awareness, I'll start with, is very important. We don't want to tick people off because we're over rebuttaling and you know, we want to be aware of the situation the customer we're talking to. But attempt a minimum of 1 rebuttal on every call as appropriate. If somebody's vehemently said no to you, move on. Obviously, again, discretion is key here. But if you do that and you use a minimum of 1 rebuttal on every call, you're automatically going to turn more maybes into yeses and more no's into maybes. It's scientific. It simply is, and we have to do it. If you were only getting between 3 and 7 decision makers on the phone for every hour that we're on the phones, we need to move the curve in that direction. And we do that by making sure that we're addressing those issues that we know already before we start our campaigns we were going to be met with. And again, feel a little bit uncomfortable. The other thing is, once we start a telesales campaign, we want to make sure that we're monitoring and listening and have your marketers listen in on a few calls. Because what you're going to find is, even though you did your due diligence to address all the issues that you thought would come up along the way, things that you knew people would refuse you for, there's going to be other things, a million other little things that come up along the way. And you need to add to that collateral and add to that tool belt that you've given your salespeople. And you want to ask them to track those refusal reasons. We gave you five rebuttals for the top 5 reasons we thought people are saying no, but once we got on the phones, we found out reasons 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Let's target those and let's create collateral, let's address those on the fly quickly so we're not wasting our time and so we can convert more prospects faster. Follow up. This is very basic, guys, but I would throw the number out. I think 95% of salespeople are terrible follow-up. Just terrible. Whether it's organizational skills, whether it's the CRM is a disaster, whether, I don't know, there's a ton of reasons why and a lot of excuses, but salespeople are terrible at following up. There's nothing worse than saying you're going to do something and not doing it. It destroys your reputation, and you can't recover from it. You just can't. If you have a scheduled call at 10 o'clock, be there at 10 o'clock. If you tell somebody you're going to get them an agreement or a proposal by Friday at 3 p.m., it needs to be there at Friday at 3 p.m. If you say you're going to send them an email and you're going to call back in 2 days, call them back in 2 days. So there's a couple of things that can help our salespeople with staying a little bit better organized. Especially so when we're sending emails out during our campaigns, a few quick tricks. If you're using Gmail, you can obviously save templates. I recommend it. Saves a ton of time. There's nothing I can stand more than a salesperson customizing the same email every single time. If you notice yourself typing the same email that many times, save yourself a template. No one's stopping you from customizing it a little bit before you get it out the door based on your conversation. Nobody's stopping you, but save a template. Why not? And Outlook, you can't save templates, but you can save it as a signature line. So just like you would pop in a new signature line, save it as a memo, put your normal sig line on there, and the content's there to be yours. Quick thing, easy, but it helps you to move along faster and get more touches out the door. And it takes away excuses from our salespeople, which they have plenty, right? So don't be embarrassed if I follow up. Again, a lot of people are shy, they're nervous. Oh, I'm gonna bother the prospect, I'm gonna annoy them, I'm following up too many times. They'll tell you when enough is enough. They'll tell you no when they're ready to be done with you. They will. So the fear again is ours, and you have something valuable to offer. Don't forget that. You're not wasting the prospect's time. So every time, and I go through the same thing. It's very human. So sometimes I'll have a proposal out there. I'll be nervous to follow up with the customer. Oh, what if they tell me no? What if there's all these fears, right? But guess what? No, you know what? I have something great to offer this customer. I know I'm gonna help them grow their business. I know I'm gonna help them move to the next level. And that's a good thing. And I'll grow my business in doing so. Place the call. Volume, obviously prospecting is largely about volume, but you do need a balance between quality and quantity. You don't want to, do a show up and throw up, but you need to balance. You need to balance. And so you have some salespeople that say, well, if I make 5 calls a day and I get 1 proposal, that's good enough. Well, guess what? Had you made 50 calls today, how many proposals could we got? So you need to balance the two. You know what I mean? There's no one without the other. It needs to be both. And multiple touches to each prospect. I don't know how many times I hear marketers say, things like, let's call 1 time to the list. And they look at the list in a very flat way, right? We have 100 prospects. We're going to call them each 1 time and telemarketing campaign over. Well, we don't treat our marketing email campaigns that flatly. Why do we treat our sales campaigns that flatly? Multiple touches, integrated approach with email, right? We can't treat it that flatly. Again, our marketers don't do it, why should our sales people do it? Voicemails, a lot of different opinions about leaving voicemails. Typically, we don't use them. Why? I've ran a lot of different tests and set up inbound lines back on telemarketing campaigns to see how many folks end up calling back in, and the results were abysmal. Actually found contacts would go down after leaving voicemails because now the person, before they even talked to me, made a decision that they didn't need my product or service. They told me no, and now they're keeping me out of their box before I even had a chance to talk to them. And me as a salesperson, I want to get in front of them because I'm going to be able to display the value. I'm going to be able to address their rebuttals. I'm going to be able to tackle those issues that I know that they're going to have before I call them. So we want to make sure that they're talking to us live. They need to reject me live. So I'm going to call you and I'm going to spend the time to talk to you because I think you're a great prospect and I think you can benefit from the services I have to offer. You're going to reject me to my face. Okay, and then, so like I said, typically contacts go down after leaving emails. I believe the reason for that is, again, they've already made a decision to say no, and now they know the caller ID. So selecting winning teams. So now we have the process, right? And now we need the right people. And you have to have people that are hungry to make calls. It can be really hard to screen for this. And hiring can be a 50-50 crapshoot. We've all made bad hires, and we've all made really good hires. So we want to kind of bottle the good things up. But creating a job description is very straightforward. Example, 90% of your day will be spent making outbound telephone calls. I don't know how many times I browse the web and I see job positions that say all these flowery things for a telemarketing position. And I read it and I'm like, this person's gonna come in and they're not gonna realize that they're spending 90% of their day making 40 calls an hour. And it's really misleading. What happens then? You spend a couple $1,000s training the gal or guy, right? And then it's not for them. It's not for me. I can't do this. You need to find people, and so be very straightforward in your job description. 90% of your day is going to be spent making phone calls. Does that sound good to you? If the answer is no, guess what? You're going to get fewer candidates. You're going to get the right ones. Take you a little longer to hire, but you're going to get the right one. And you're going to reduce the cost of all the training that you're investing into this high turnover position. Obviously, understanding competitive pay for your area, it pays off in dividends. There's a lot of different resources for compensation information. And then we use a behavioral profile called Sales Match. It's a disc profile, but it's geared towards sales folks. I recommend taking a look at it. We have a lot of fun with it, and it's kind of cool, but here's an example of what a profile looks like. And we don't use it as a means for hiring, but we just do it to assess kind of getting the right players on the right seats of the bus. So we have customer care positions, we have telesales, lead generation, appointment setting positions, and we have inside sales positions. So this kind of helps us understand, are they more geared towards new business or more geared towards account management? Are they more geared towards prospecting? Kind of identifying your hunter-gatherers versus your closers, that kind of thing. So it gives you kind of some primary characteristics along with the disc assessment that's traditional. A lot of people probably think it's something like that. And then it goes through their sales style. So, how do they do opening, fact finding, presenting, closing, or key areas of strength and weakness. And lastly, it'll help you give you some interview questions that help identify those areas of weakness and see how they handle them. Again, everything is on a spectrum, it's on a threshold, so that you can kind of look at and say, how do you tend to manage people that you find very assertive and possibly intimidating? What type of selling do you prefer, new business or account management, and why? So it helps give you a little bit more of situational questions that are geared towards that person's personality to see how they can deal with it.
Christina?
Yes.
That last slide, was that a kind of a test that you give them? Or do you have them do a sample sales pitch to you, or?
So this is kind of like a disc profile. They're given a questionnaire and a login, and they go through a bunch of situational kind of questions, and they identify how they would handle each situation. And at the end, this is basically the results that came back for this particular candidate.
Thank you. Do you ever do, when in that hiring process, do you ever have them do a sample pitch to you or anything like that?
Sure, it depends on the sales role that we're going for, but we absolutely, they might do some role playing or depending on the level. So we have program development folks, we may have them write us a sample script, things like that to test them a little bit more. Yeah, absolutely. So some interview questions. And then a lot of folks miss doing this, but phone screening for an inside sales role is really, really important because has anyone seen The Show The Voice? Has anyone watched that show at all? No? Okay, so anyways, basically the premise behind it is they listen to this voice, right, before they ever see the person. They decide if this person is going to make it in the music industry without ever seeing their face. And this is kind of like that. I liken it to that. So during a phone screening, we have no information about this candidate. We might have their resume, right? But we don't know what they look like. We don't know what their mannerisms or behaviors are like. Sometimes you might get a person with really weird, mannerisms that are excellent on the phone, right? So we don't want to discount people too early. So doing a phone screening is a good way to learn if they have it or not, and you don't waste your time with all these in-person interviews that are really expensive to conduct. And we forget the cost of the HR portion of hiring somebody, and it's a real cost. It really is. So if their phone screening doesn't go well, and they don't have the voice clarity, diction, tone, and inflection, they're not coming in my office for a face-to-face interview, period. So don't skip out on that portion. It's a really cost-effective way to make sure you're getting the right candidates in. And sometimes we have preconceived notions about people. Maybe they're a little awkward. But guess what? They can be dynamic on the phones. And this helps with that, those little human intricacies that we all have, like it or not. We're psychologically inclined to judge them that way. So that helps. We look at winning attitude over credentials. A while back, we kind of peeled back from saying, okay, these are the only credentials we're looking at. Here's what this job requires. Because we have, and there was a TED Talk on scrappers. I don't know if anyone saw that. But I really believe in that. There are people that are scrappers, that are go-getters, that want to make a difference. They want to be empowered to sell and to do the right thing and to help grow a business that maybe we wouldn't have looked at 5 years ago with our hiring practices then, that are perfectly capable, willing, and able candidates. So looking for winning attitude over credentials. Then obviously followed up with your reference checks, your in-person interview, written application background, inquiry forms, all that basic stuff before you make the final offer. But the phone screening, I really believe in. I think it's a great way to test how they're going to come off to your prospects on the phone before. It's kind of like a free trial that you can get with that person. Define success for your team. So this is one with a little silly, I included a few memes here, but we've had tons of clients implement things like Salesforce, which can be an awesome tool that can also be greatly misused. As marketers, we have our Google Analytics. We have 1,000 different touch points that we can track daily in an automated fashion, in and out. We pull up our dashboard, we pull up our flash reports, and it's all there at our fingertips. But as marketers, why are we expecting our salespeople to generate 10 leads a day, self-generate 10 leads a day, and fill out 50 fields for leads because we want to know exactly what this person was doing and what they answered, how they answered this question? And guess what? There's always that fight between, oh, why didn't you get calls in today, Johnny? Oh, well, I had to answer things in CRM, and that took me forever. It took up half my day because I got a lot of leads today, so I didn't get to hit my call KPI. Well, we need to look at these things as marketers, and we need to sit down and say, okay, marketer, sit down, you generate a lead, and then you go enter it. Tell me how long it took you. So with all that process, to enter those 50 fields into Salesforce.com, are you able to get 100 calls in today? And your marketer's gonna be like, no, absolutely not. So why do we expect our sales teams to suffer in that way? We need to pick a few KPIs, get rid of all the noise, because too many KPIs frankly become noise. I would love to hit 50 different metrics, but let's focus on 2 or 3 and let's nail them day after day after day and grow our businesses. Get rid of the noise. Spreadsheets, CRMs, and reporting tools are useful if you use them right, but pick a few things that are important and track the crap out of them. And allow your team some success. Because guess what? As a salesperson, we need success. It's in our DNA, and success breeds success. So if I can make, if I have a KPI that I have to make 100 phone calls a day, right? Today's my first day on the job. And in the first 3 days, I'm hitting that KPI. And now my next is a contacts goal. So I'm hitting for a week straight, I'm hitting my calls per day. And now I'm hitting at least 5 contacts every single hour, and I'm converting them, sending out my emails, right? Now I have 2 pillars of success. The next thing I'm gonna look at is how many appointments were they able to set, and ultimately, how many people moved to a proposal and finally an agreement. There's a few simple things that we're looking at, and we're moving on to the next call. But we make it a disaster for our salespeople because we wanna track everything. We have to realize it's not automated. The data, we complain all the time, right? The data's only as good as the people that entered it. Well, you try to enter 10 leads a day with 50 fields. Tell me how many calls you make. So let's give our people a chance to be successful, because success will breed success. It's in the little wins to start when we're onboarding a new salesperson to create those long-term wins. And this is just a sample sheet, guys. And I just plugged in some kind of fake numbers here, but we're looking at defining success for our team. So when we start with a revenue goal, we want to work the math backwards to say what's our cost per touch, what's our average sale size, and how many people are following up on those leads. And based on that, we can come back and we can say, okay, ultimately, how many qualified leads does every salesperson need to self-generate? And maybe they're paired with some inbound marketing leads, but we know that inbound marketing leads aren't a guarantee, right? Marketing automation is great, nothing negative to say about it. We need to be doing it, but they're not guaranteed. So we need to self-generate to guarantee, because that's the only scientific manner that we have to guarantee that we're getting. We know that we make 1,000 calls, and then it'll take us 1,000 calls to generate 8 leads. We know how many calls we need to make this month to make sure that we hit those numbers, because our inbound leads are not guaranteed. They're not. So then you know how many qualified leads per person, and you can make sure that every person on your sales team is staying on track. So if we're 3/4 of the way through the month and Nancy only has 1 lead, well, guess what? We know that we need to get you 7 more to get you back on track for the year, right? Because we know how the math's going to pay out. And that's it. Any questions?
So, when you were talking about the conflict between the marketing copy and the sales copy reports, it occurred to me, have you ever had a situation where somebody came in with their genius marketing copy and you went through the sales process and you came up with a different copy, and then it went back the other direction, and somebody took what you used in the sales situation, changed their marketing copy, and then they had a different result from that?
Absolutely. So internally, we'll invite our marketers to monitor sessions to listen to the calls, because again, the marketers obviously don't get the benefit too often of hearing what our prospects have to say back to us. They're a one-to-many, but they don't have a two-way communication mechanism. So we'll invite our marketers to monitor sessions, and they'll hear the reasons why people are excited about our product and the reasons why people are saying no. And you have a lot of those light bulb moments where like, oh my God, we're marketing this all wrong, or that customer just gave us a golden sentence. Write that down. So
and that makes me think that in some cases then doing a short telemarketing campaign, even if you don't think telemarketing is going to work for a product, it could be helpful just in clarifying your marketing message.
Absolutely, absolutely. Because we don't have the luxury of always hearing back from our customers.
Right.
Even making a few test phone calls and listening to them. And campaigns like calling your current customer database if you're launching a new product and give them a test, a trial of it for free, and see what they have to say about it. They're going to teach you how to market your product.
Right.
Absolutely.
When you use that personality profile on salespeople, do you look at that? I mean, do you do that? Do you automate that? How does that work? So you got an ad running, 25 people are going to respond.
Sure. So we typically don't use it to make hiring decisions because profiles typically aren't used in that manner, but we might have, if we have a strong candidate come in, they've gone through the first round, they've gone through maybe meetings with our executive team, we're thinking about making an offer, we might have them do that, ask a few more follow-up questions based on that. The model that they use is a pay-per-use model. So we're kind of careful with where and when we're using them. But we don't use it as a means to decide if we're hiring somebody. Usually we already know that, and then we're trying to decide what's the best role for them. So is it an appointment setting lead gen hunter-gatherer role? Is it an inside sales role? Is it a closer role? Or is it more of a customer care role?
Well, I have another one.
Sure.
So I really just keying off of what Greg was asking. How do you decide what goes into that 30 seconds that is the sales pitch? You have the decision maker on the phone. You're going to say something. Editorial has provided you with some information. Marketing has provided you with some sales pitches, so to speak. How do you boil it down to what you're going to say in that 30 seconds?
Sure.
I'll just leave it right there.
Sure. So when we're looking at our editorial copy, we usually have this laundry list of bullet points of the value proposition, all the things that, capabilities, functionality, all those things. And we really want to look at things that are actionable for the customer. So we want to take the strongest things that say, our product is this, and it's going to help you do X, Y, and Z at your job better. What are those reasons? And that's kind of how we structure it. Now, it doesn't mean that might not need tweaking. So there's a couple things you can do. You can have an A/B test. You can have one telemarketer say, you're going to use this script and this value proposition. You're going to have B use that one, and obviously you want people that are pretty evenly yoked because you probably have A players and B players on your team. So you can do an A/B split on the script. You might listen in and just start with one script and say, okay, this needs a little adjusting. Now we're hearing the feedback. Let's go back and tweak that value proposition a little bit. But typically what we try to do is we say, here's who we are, here's what we do. In a couple quick bullets, this is how it's going to help you do your job more effectively. You have a few minutes to meet with us to learn more about the solution.
So by definition, what you just described, can help you do this in this way, that's a benefit.
Yeah.
Right? So it sounds like it's probably the strongest possible benefit that you can extract from what editorial said, what marketing said, or if it doesn't, they don't tell you that, you ask them, what is the strongest thing we can promise?
And you might say something like, we've surveyed our current customers and we found that they were able to save 25% by implementing our solution. I'd love to show you, and Greg kind of alluded to this earlier, but we're able to save you 25%. We want to come up with something strong that's going to be compelling enough to say, you know what, this is going to help me do my job that much better. I need to take a look at this.
Sometimes it can also have to do with timeliness. So if there's something hot in legislation right now, or something that's really about to change or that's bubbling, putting that right at the beginning.
Absolutely. Yeah.
What sort of guidelines do you have for scripted messages, requiring people to stay with script versus?
Sure. So what I think is that every single person has their own unique personality. And we have to give them it's kind of like when you go bowling. You have the bumpers on the lanes, right? But you still, the ball can still go, there's some bandwidth for the ball to move. And how Nancy might pitch somebody, if I said it the same way, might come off as disingenuous. I have some telemarketers that can call in and say, how are you doing today, John? And they sound so genuine. And I have other people that sound flat and disingenuous and terrible, and they can't do it. Hey, Tracy, stop doing that. It doesn't work for you, but it works for Johnny. So we need to allow our people to have those nuances because we're humans and it's not about robotics. It is about volume, but we have to give them bumpers and let them play within the lane. That's how I see it.
Any other questions? Thank you again.